Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Movie Deputy Reviews, where I know I'm a little bit late today, but if you're ever curious if the show is going to be up or not, I posted it on Facebook and I posted it on X last night that today's show would be an evening show instead of a morning program. And so I am going to be bringing you, if you are on our YouTube channel, you know the movie we're talking about. If you've caught our last couple episodes, you know the movie we're talking about. But if not, if you are listening on our podcast, we are talking about Return to Silent Hill. It is the third movie in the series. The first one came out back, I think it was 2006, and the next one was 2012. And now in 2026, I almost said 25. I've been catching myself doing that all day. But we are here to kind of discuss this one. Now, if you are a fan of the Silent Hill video games, you are going to have a completely different perspective on this. Now, I touch on that because these stories are unusual. And in saying that, this is full on, this takes gore to a whole new level. Is it as bad as like something on the Saw movies? Maybe not, but at the same time, it's also kind of worse, if you can imagine. But we're not going to be focusing on a lot of that tonight. I want to focus on the story and what you get here. Just in case you're curious, obviously, with me talking about gore and about a lot of this other stuff as well, I'm going to be giving this a guilty rating. Now, this is guilty enough. I would not even say young adult. I would, unless you're like into the video games, I would. Teenagers, no. Young adults, beware. I mean, it's intense, and where it takes you. Let's get into the trailer, and then we're going to come back and discuss the movie a little bit more.
James, so much time has passed, but I'm asking to please come back to our special place. Something's happened. Love, Mary.
Hello? Can anyone hear me?
Everyone got sick in Silent Hill.
Something's happened here. Something really, really bad.
This is just some of the creep and just the early stage gore that I was kind of letting you in on a little bit there. Now, in this Silent Hill movie, you may be thinking, wait a minute, because it's talking about Mary, and who's Mary? Because it's like, okay, we knew Rose, we had Sharon, and we had Chris. So who's Mary? Well, this kind of, I'll get into a little bit more of that here in just a minute.
Doing. It won't be enough to save her.
You did it, didn't you, Jimmy? You woke him up.
No one said it would be easy.
I'm here. I'll always be here.
Now, this one just opened a couple days ago on the 23rd, and it's very unsettling for a lot of different reasons. We don't see the characters that we know. There's one that seems familiar, but it's not as it seems. I know that kind of sounds very cryptic. I don't mean for it to sound that way, but you know me, no spoilers ever. But in this one, though Silent Hill looks like Silent Hill, this is like almost like an alternate reality of Silent Hill, because it's like this tourist town and this Lakeview hotel on the lake in this beautiful area. And instead of the town being evacuated because of an underground fire, the town has basically, everybody has just got sick and died. Now, no spoilers there. Like I said, don't worry about that. But what you see here is this young man is going into Silent Hill to try to find the woman that he loves, because they had a place there in Silent Hill, and this letter has drawn him back. But it's a lot more intense than that. You're watching two different realities take place at the same time in the story. You're watching a reality that is in Silent Hill and a reality that is outside of Silent Hill. And that may seem, you may be wondering why I'm choosing to term it that way. That would kind of be a spoiler if I divulge why I'm saying it that way, because I'm not just talking about two areas inside and outside of Silent Hill. I'm talking about two completely different realities. And that's about the biggest clue that I can give on that without giving it away. Now, the story-wise, it really struggles. If you are afraid of bugs, do not go see this. If you are afraid of spiders, do not go see this. If you are, I've heard of people having a phobia of dirty bathrooms, definitely don't go see this. This is just, it's disgusting, it's gross, it's gory, it's very sexual. I mean, I honestly, the first thing that came to mind when I got done watching this was gore porn. Literally, that's what this entire story feels like. It's broken. It's very disconnected. Even after it gets to where it's going, the story-wise, you're just still left wondering, what? It doesn't really. A good story can start at the beginning. It fills in a lot of details, and at least there's some sort of an ending to it. The ending that we see here basically takes us back to the beginning into an earlier scene, and like I said, no spoilers, but it doesn't really satisfy. Okay, what, why, how? There's so much disconnect to this, and it just leaves you just wondering, like I said, what in the world? Because there's so much happening at the same time. It's not telling us anything. Now, maybe thinking, what does that mean? Well, this falls into what I would call the painful, confusing category. It's not full on horrible, unwatchable. And especially if you are a fan of the game, the movie will follow like some of the stories that are part of the game. But like I always say with the books, I never read the book. The movie has to stand on its own. And that's kind of what we're saying here. There were a couple people at the theater when I saw this last night, and they are very, very familiar with the game. And the one of them said they would give it a 5. The other one said they would give it a 6 out of 10. And okay, these are people that are entrenched into these games, and even they weren't like, oh, it's a 10, it's an 8, it's blah, 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 it's so great. Even they were, I don't know if I want to say disappointed, but I don't know if it wasn't what they expected. But like I said, they were familiar with the story. They were familiar with the games, and even then they only gave it a 5 and a 6. So what does that say? But you're probably wondering where I ended up. I'm going to maybe surprise you a little bit with this one. I am coming in at a 2.75 out of 10 because it falls into that painful, confusing category, because even if you're paying attention to every little detail, you're just left, there's all of these plot holes that don't really go anywhere. There's this story that is not the story that we know from the other Silent Hill movies, and now it's saying Return to Silent Hill, but it's a different Silent Hill. There's no mention of the fire. There's no mention of the evacuation. There's still the ash falling from the sky, and I don't know why my computer is doing that. But it just is a complete disconnect beginning to end. And I kept waiting for that precipice. I kept waiting for that aha moment. I kept waiting for that just conclusion of the story where it kind of brings it all together. There's one scene where it kind of explains a little bit of his search for Mary, and it kind of explains a little bit of why he is so forlorn at trying to find her and trying to save her from this. But honestly, without that, I probably would have been right at a 2. I mean, it's redeeming, but it's not redeeming enough that it saves the story. So if you're a fan of this, great. More power to it. If this is, there's always those movies that no matter how bad they are, somebody loves them. But just as a general thing for generalized audiences, and like I said, unless you are obsessed with the games, and I think there's 6 games in total that have come out with from the Silent Hill franchise, unless you like eat, sleep, and breathe these games, you are going to be lost with this movie. So I would highly, highly recommend that this one is probably not for you unless you're familiar with the story, because there's just not enough to stand on its own. And I always hope that helps at least a few viewers. I've had some people tell me that I'm way off base, and other people have more people usually tell me I'm spot on the money on that, because I don't just look at the story. I always say I interrogate movies for their plot and their content. And the content of this one, when I say gore porn, I am not just talking about bloody gory. I'm talking about the sexualized part of it all the way through. And it's like very almost uncomfortable. And mind you, I'm not uncomfortable watching adult content, but this one it just makes you just type. It's creepy. And something can be said for that if that's the vibe it's going for, but you have to have the story to back it up. And this one, I don't know where it went wrong. I don't know who's designing these video games, why they went so different with this. Honestly, I don't care. But I want the stories to stand on their own. It's like if you're going to take a story and you're going to make it, if you're going to take a video game and make it into a movie like this, you have to have enough of a story that it holds on to the person all the way through. And that, so when it's over and done with, you don't have the person just going, there went 2 hours of my life. Not that this is a full 2 hours, it's like an hour and a half long, but it felt longer. So, as always, I hope this helps somebody. I hope if you are a fan of the game and if you are like a big aficionado of Silent Hill, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to know your thoughts on this game or the movie. But I'm not into the game part of it myself. I mean, I haven't been into computerized games since the old DOS ones, and I'm kind of obsessed with Carmageddon, but it's a whole different thing there. So, as always, I hope this helps at least a few people. This is an adventure. I always appreciate the people that come on this adventure with me. And I hope that you always hit subscribe and make sure and turn on that little bell so you get the latest and the greatest Movie Deputy content. You're going to want to come back for Friday's show. We are talking about one that, I mean, the score for where I would personally rate it to where I ended up rating it are drastically different, and the review is going to be a lot of fun. So if you haven't already subscribed to Deputy, please do so and make sure that you come back for Friday's show because it's going to be worth it. But as always, I will be back soon and I'll talk to you later. Bye.